Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Hey guys, welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. I'm your host, Annette Harris. Thank you so much for joining us on today, for watching and or listening. Now, before I get started, I have to let you know that we are going to do our prayer first before I go into anything else. Let me pray. Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you for this wonderful day that you've blessed us to see. We thank you for all that you've done, what you're going to do, what you're yet doing, and how you're manifesting yourself. We ask you to get the glory out of this segment and everything we go to say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. And the opening scripture that I normally like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4:6. And it states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, which means this is the last segment of this month. We do have another day in the month, but the last segment of this month. And I'm excited because we have been, since the beginning of the year, letting you all know what I believe the Lord had given me at the at the beginning of the year as a theme. 2022 is the year of healing. So we're still staying in that vein. And we have presented to you various guests, and we're going to stick with that same theme on today. Now, let me tell you something. If you are wondering how you can watch me in case something happens, there are a couple of ways that you can watch and or listen to me on today. On my Facebook page, I'm on live, Annette, Get Caught in a Net. And then on YouTube, shout out to Earl Winfrey over at Intellectual Radio, which is where we are housed. He has uploaded the audio on my YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and type in Get Caught in a Net, you will hear the audio portion. At the end of this segment, we are going to upload the video portion as well. I have tagged my guest on today, so you can also see us on her page, Gina Gadson, as well. And we want you guys to jump on in with us on today. I'm going to introduce her, tell you all about her, and we're going to get started. Gina, how are you feeling on this afternoon?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I'm blessed. It's a beautiful day, and I get to spend time with you.
Yay! We finally did it. We did it. We did it. Inside joke, guys. Inside joke. But no, we're here. I'm always excited to be here, hosting another show, another segment. I love what I do. I really do. And then to be able to bring individuals on that I feel have, be able to add something to our lives, if you will. I love to make sure that I promote them. And Gina, I'm telling you, we've never met in person. We've only met on Facebook, but I feel like I've known her for like forever. Okay. And that's a good thing, because, some people you meet on social media or you meet in person, you're like, I kind of wished I didn't meet them, but she's definitely not that person, not that individual. So I'm so glad that you're here. And I think we made our acquaintance through Brandy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
She's a sweetheart. She really is. So I am going to actually go ahead and pull up this wonderful bio of Miss Gina. This is a woman. She's on the move, y'all, and y'all gonna have to catch her. I'm telling you, she's doing. But like I said, she's doing things for the community, for us, for children. She has a good heart. I can already tell that. So Ava, I see you on, and Alyssa said she wasn't gonna miss today. I appreciate you coming in. You guys make sure you tag individuals as well. Click the share button. I know I didn't say that, but click that share button. I always tell you it costs you nothing. If you click it, I see you over here on Instagram. I forgot to tell you, we are on Instagram as well, guys, on my page, Get Caught in the Net. So let me go ahead here and read this bio. Gina Gadson is the author of Alpha's Adventure, a 5-book series that entertains children as they learn. Her love for youths sparked the creation of her books, her coloring books, and handmade characters. You're going to see all that today. She is the recipient of the Urban Leadership Award, honoring her exemplary dedication to others. Paving the way for those in the literary industry, Gina's history-making event, March Book Madness, brought 24 independent African-American authors together at the South Lake Mall in Maryville, Indiana. September Book Madness was another event spearheaded by Ms. Gadson. I told you she was on the move, didn't I? To provide school supplies to youths in the community. In addition, she co-sponsored an authors workshop to provide information to fellow authors and help further their literary career. Gina received an AABA in marketing and a BBA in management. Whew. Okay, that's a lot of A's and B's. All right. Since 2005, she has been a director at a local university where she continues to promote education. Now it goes on, and I appreciate my sister here. She's doing the thing. It says Gina Gadson and Deborah Rhodes Pettigrew founded Distinguished Authors Guild to pay homage to African-American authors. Love it. Honoring those of the past and awarding those who are our future through awards and scholarships. DAG, which is the acronym for Distinguished Authors Guild, authors a platform to showcase their hard work and spotlight their creativity. Nominations are based on creativity, packaging, and the ability to captivate the audience. Ooh, that's good. Along with the special night of accolades and awards, DAG prides itself in supporting our youth. Now, see, this is what I love. You know, I love our youth. And I'm going to let you guys know, because when you go further down in here, you can make donations, you know, to this wonderful, wonderful organization. And we're going to let you know how you can do that. So let's see, you have a Cash App, a PayPal. So there's no excuse, guys. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So, and these are all donations made toward our youth education. And all of us should be on the same page, knowing that that's something that we need to do. So I wanted to have, oh, that was a mouthful I said. Okay, so I wanted to have Gina on because I want to talk about, first and foremost, this Alpha's adventures. But I want to start with something different a little bit today. Let me ask you this question. And you guys are more than welcome to engage with us with your questions, your comments. I will interact with you as we are going throughout this interview. Let me create a scenario for you, Gina. All right. Let's say you found yourself in the company of parents, children, and then those that have those deep pockets, you know what I mean? Right. And they could fund all of your projects. All right. This is your chance to give your 30-second elevator speech about you or about your books. And go.
Alpha's Adventure is a heartwarming book. It's a book, it's a 5-series book, and it teaches children as they learn. It teaches children as they're entertained. This is something that I'm really promoting, to put books back in the hands of children. Our children need to understand and feel and see and touch books. We have to get that platform back with our children because it's very important. It creates such a positive atmosphere, and it really does build self-esteem. So those with the big pockets, I want to get Alpha's Adventures on television so that I could reach the masses and teach children and entertain children.
Love it. All right. Hey, you brought that on and somebody's going to hear it. Okay. All right. I love that though. But you know what? I recall when I was younger, young kid, I used to love to read all the time. Now, I don't mind reading now. It's just that now you just have to find time for it. Life has happened, you become an adult and, family and all of that. But I love how you say you want to get the books back into the hands of our youth. Was there a personal experience that led you down this path, or is just something that you noticed yourself?
Definitely a personal experience.
Okay.
I had a home-based daycare for 8 years. And during that time, I had 2 children that were in my daycare who could not read. One was in the 5th grade, one was in the 2nd grade, and they were just being passed through the system from grade to grade. And so I wanted to take the initiative and take time out to help them, because knowing this, I knew that if they were in the same situation as an adult, they were going to have difficulties. This is what leads to our crime rate going up. This is what leads to our unemployment. And so every child that came through my daycare, I felt like this is the doorstep where I can make a difference. And so I took the time out and I taught both of them how to read. I started from the very basics with the phonics. And in a matter of time, they were both reading. And so I wanted to reach a larger number of children. Yes, I have these children in my daycare that I'm assisting, but I wanted to reach on a higher level. so that I could reach more children. And so the idea came to me at that point to have a book, write a book. And initially it was not Alpha's Adventure. It was going to be Madeline. She was going to wear a cape and she was going to fly around the universe saving our vocabulary. That was the initial creativity in the very beginning. I never acted on the dream. I never thought about, it stayed in my mind, but I never acted on it. Probably maybe 3 to 5 years later, that idea came back to me, and it was only because of other circumstances. See, this is how God works, because when he gives you an idea, he also gives you the tools to make it work. And so 3 to 5 years later, I came home from work one day and my late husband said to me, he said, keep your coat on, we're about to go. And I'm like, where are we going? He said, we're going to see a man about a dog. And I'm thinking it's the old cliche, right? Going to see a man about a dog. But we were literally going to see a man about a dog. We went and got a dog. The dog was 8 weeks old, beautiful American Pit. And that transitioned from, using Madeline to using the dog. But guess what? My late husband growing up had a dog named Omega. And so he said, what should we name him? And so he was so in love with his dog, Omega. That's all he talked about growing up. That was his best friend. I said, let's name him Alpha Omega. And that's how Alpha got his name. And that Alpha is a real dog. He's still here with me. And so I decided I'm going to use Alpha as my character because it tied right into alphabet. So that's where it transitioned from the theory of using Madeline to using Alpha. And there we have Alpha's Adventure.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that background. I don't want to call it a story because it actually happened, It actually
happened.
I love that background. That's wonderful. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. Because I was liking that idea with Madeline, flying around, but it's still the same concept, basically.
Still the same concept.
Kind of maybe added onto it or took like a little, another little route for it. So I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay. Janice is on. Thanks for coming in. I see you, Beatrice. Thank you. We appreciate you. Let's see here. My Aunt Robbie. How are you, Auntie? Thanks for coming on and joining us on today. Let's see. Alyssa says, your stories would be great on TV, but I love the books. They really are so important for kids. We were all big readers as kids. My mom was a kindergarten teacher, and I'm so glad that my extended family's children love books as well. They are so imaginative and creative, and I know that books play a huge role in that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Natalie is on. Natalie Murphy. Natalie Lady Shutterberg Murphy. Thank you for coming in. She says, I love that, Alpha and Omega. Yeah, okay. And like you said, it's an extension of alphabet. So that makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, cool. I love this. Oh, wow. You've given me a lot of background there. Because I was going to ask you, was Alpha Adventures always, the name that you had started out with, but obviously it came on the heels of Madeline.
Right. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. God has his own timing. And he has his hand in things that we don't even realize.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad that the Lord used your late husband to even, spark that for you. And we can see the result of it now. So we know why you wrote it. Let me ask you, what would you say the difference is between a writer and an author?
Oh, that's a huge difference. A writer is someone who writes, never publish it, they write. And I was a writer in the beginning because even though, Alpha's Adventures is out and it's been out for maybe 3-4 years now, I wrote all 5 books before I published them. So I was a writer before I became an author. I wanted to make sure that when I reached out to publishers and illustrators and whoever else I needed to get the books out there, I was not hit with deadlines that I couldn't meet. And so I wanted to have the books written before I reached out to anyone. I wrote the books, had the books had the copyrights done for the books. And then I reached out first to my illustrator. And let me say this, Annette, because you hear people's individual stories and it sounds so easy. And it sounds like, wow, they really knew their stuff. I knew nothing about writing and publishing a book. Absolutely nothing. I did not know where to turn to get an illustrator. I didn't even know what to do next after I had those words on paper. But again, when you listen to God and you follow him, and I listened and I waited, I prayed and I waited for him to tell me to move and what direction to move in. And he sent everyone in my direction to help me to get the books where they needed to be. I'm telling you, I was just oblivious as to how do you write a book? No one was there to help me. I learned it all on my own. Now, I can say once I found my publisher, and that was a journey too, because I reached out to a few publishers. I didn't feel the connection. Yeah. One of the things that you have to have in your circle are people who you connect with and have your vision. If you don't have that, it's not going to go well. And so those individuals that I first reached out to, they didn't share my vision, and I kept going and kept going. And when I finally found my publisher, I had never spoken to her. I read her bio. I looked her up on all the social media platforms. I Googled her. And when I got done, I called my 2 friends up and I said, I found my publisher. And this was before I had even made a phone call to her. She was such a great mentor. She taught me a lot. She was more of a mentor than she was a publisher. She taught me how to go about it. She laid everything out. She told me, what's going to take place. She even told me, how many pages I need in a standard children's book. And guess what? Once I got everything together and I thought I was ready after I had written those 5 books and had them on paper, she said, you got to go back and do X, Y, Z. I said, what? It took me 5 years to do this. So I was sitting there in awe. Like it took me literally 2 weeks to pick my face up and go back and do the things she said I needed in the books, because I thought I was ready. But once as you're writing and you're getting your thoughts on paper, you're a writer at that point. When you publish those books, you are now an author. And that's the difference between the two. Once those books are published, you can now say you're author Gina Gadson.
Yes. No, that's good. Thank you for telling us the difference, or seeing what we're looking at, because some people may not know, they may not understand. Now you mentioned something in there. You had been writing for 5 years before you.
Yes, before they were published. Yeah, and I know people who it's been even longer than that. There were some life experience that happened. As I stated, my husband, late husband, he encouraged me. Even when I gave him the idea, when I had the daycare, he encouraged me. And so a few years later, after I decided, I got serious and I said, I'm going to write these books. Probably, I'm like maybe 3 years after the thought actually came, I started writing every night. I would write, and every day he would say, did you write anything for your book today? And if I didn't, he would say, well, at least do, a few sentences, do a paragraph. And so he really encouraged me. But a few years after, a little while afterwards, we discovered he had stage 4 cancer. And so I stopped writing. I put the books on the shelf. I stopped doing everything to take care of him. And so I didn't write for, oh my gosh, maybe another 2 years. And then I met my current fiance. And again, he was in my corner. He encouraged me. I told him about the books and, I'm writing some books, and he encouraged me to pick them back up and finish them. So he grabbed the baton and he helped me get to the finish line. You really need those people in your corner that are supportive, that's going to help you. And you know what? When things happen, they may slow you down. They shouldn't stop you. So even though I stopped writing at that point, I had someone to encourage me and say, hey, you got a good thing going, pick it back up and, help me see it through.
I'm getting emotional over here listening to you. I had no clue about any of that. But like you said, you need to have somebody in your corner to help motivate, to help push you, beyond. And like you said, he picked up the baton and kept going with that. Because I can only imagine how maybe hard it could have been to even pick back up writing, after your late husband passed, because, it started with him and things were probably still connected, to him. Yes. And so you have to get beyond that mentally and everything else. So, kudos to your current fiance and, how the Lord was even using him. Now, when you started writing though, initially, did you always know that it was going to be a series, or were you just thinking one book?
I always wanted to be a series because my inspiration was the cat. I'm not sure if you know this series of books that I used to read when I was young. I would come home from, I'm the nerd. I used to come home from school and run to the library every day to read these books called Harry the Dirty Dog. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. But that was my most favorite books. Those were my most favorite books. And I was also inspired by The Cat in the Hat. I'm sure a lot of writers that write children's books, that's one of something that inspired them. But I wanted to have children to have, not just one book, because if in my mind, I'm like, this book is going to be a hit. So I want them to have more than one. So I decided I'm going to write at least 5. My minimum was 5. And at that point, I said I would decide if I'm going to continue with the series after the 5, but it was always the number 5.
Okay. I like that. That's a good mindset to have. Obviously you had goals that you wanted to reach. And, that's interesting because I know sometimes authors may write a book, an initial book, and maybe that's the only thing that's in their mind. But then there's so much content that maybe they didn't get in their first book. Maybe then they maybe continue on and do a series or part 2 or whatever, or what have you. But okay, so you initially had that in your mind from the beginning. And I like that confidence. This is going to be so great that they're going to need more. I love it. I love it. Let's see here. 5, the number of grace, says Natalie. That's right. That's right. Alyssa says, I have to add just a little background. I've known Gina as long as I've known Brandy. Okay. We all work together.
Used to work together. Yes.
She said almost 2 decades ago. She said, yes. Wow. Okay. And she said she's beyond proud of what you both have done. Successful businesses by following their passions. Gina's books are 100% educational and fun. The perfect combination. Yeah, I want to kind of talk about that angle, about you wanting to make sure that it's entertainment. Apostle Dion, is that my co-host? Thanks for coming in, my brother. I appreciate you. And again, make sure you guys share this live feed here on Facebook Live. If you're over on YouTube, we'll make sure we go over there to see if you have any comments. And also on Instagram, we do welcome you. I do see a number of you coming in over there as well. So thank you for coming in. Again, if you have any questions or comments for my guest on today, please make sure you throw them into the comments section. This is the month of March is the National Reading Month, and we are ending this month talking to another wonderful author. We've had Dr. Wily come on earlier in the month. She's an author as well, and so I've been connecting with these authors here lately. What does that mean? But yeah, this is some good stuff because, you know, National Reading Month is very important. And then looking at the angle that Gina comes, you know, from, if you didn't hear in the beginning, you know, about how she, you know, how she got started, basically. You know, there was a situation with children in her daycare where she saw that they were not reading or able to read. And so she wanted to do something about it. And, you know, I applaud that, you know, in you, because many people would not have stopped to take time to make sure that those children had what they needed to be able to read. So I had another thought in my mind, but let me go back to what I was saying in terms of why you felt it was important to bring in entertainment with reading.
Well, I did realize that as I was teaching the children in my daycare, I realized that when we were playing games and having fun and they were learning through the games, they were more apt to learn that way than to sit and just say your ABCs or, you know, write this number down. They were learning quickly, and it was really catching on, and they were having so much fun. So we would do games where we would sing songs. This is how I taught them how to spell their names. I would put it in a song, and within a few days they could spell their name. And so that's the concept I wanted to use with my books, because when children are being entertained, they don't know that they're learning. It just happens. And so that's where I got that concept from.
That's wisdom. That's straight wisdom right there. And you actually remind me of Dr. Wily, because she mentioned about reading, because she's an educator, excuse me, a retired educator, but her focus is on the reading. But then she said what she would do when she first started teaching, she would bring in magazines, you know, magazines that maybe the children would like to, you know, were interested in reading. And she would just let them read the magazines. And that's how, you know, she pulled out of them, you know, that reading was so important. And, you know, you have to use what you got, you know.
That's right.
Use your resources, you know, to try and push this thing. Now, let me ask you, you had mentioned earlier about not only, you know, how reading is so important, but you mentioned, you know, getting the books back in the children's hands, you know, and how that was so important to do. Oh God, I just lost my thought.
Well, you know what? And that's one of the things. If you go out to dinner, just go out in public. What do you see? You see children on their phones. They're doing this. That's where our children are headed now, technology. And another thing that happened that really, really touched me and really made me want to push this. My granddaughter came home one day and she said, "Would you help me read my story?" Of course I will. She went and pulled these pieces of paper out of her book bag. And I said, "What is that?" She said, "This is my book. My teacher wanted us to read this story." And I said, "That's not a book." They were pieces of paper that the kids were reading from. And I'm like, that's not a book. And so I started a library. I have so many books that I just started buying and purchasing so that she would know what a book is. This is a book. And thinking back to when I was young and I was running to the library to read books and experience it, I wanted the children to have the same experience as I did as a child, that imagination. No matter what they're going through, those books will take you out of your situation and take you to the moon, take you to Spain, take you to another era, take you to the past, take you to the future. And so I wanted children to share that. But most importantly, I wanted children to know what a book is. It's not pieces of paper that have words wrote on it. So that hit my heart really hard.
Where did that come from, though? Is that what the teacher thought, or is
that's what they were using, and that's what they're using in school? That's what the teacher sent home for them to read. This is your reading book.
I am speechless right now. I am speechless.
I hit the floor. I was like, what is this? I just couldn't even believe it.
Now, I mentioned my aunt being on here, Robbie Wethington. She is actually an educator, retired educator, but nonetheless, she had been in the school system for many, many years. But what she did, and what we appreciate, my sisters and I were talking about, is she took time out with her nieces and her nephews. She would buy those books. I don't know if you guys remember those books. It was like a workbook type. It was called Highlights. You remember that? I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes.
And she would make sure that we knew what we were doing. We knew how to read. We knew how to, connect everything and to understand what was going on. And I thinking back, I just appreciate, her, taking the time out. I have another aunt who's an educator as well, but they took time out, with us, but they were serious about their reading. They were serious about their reading, their education. And it just baffles me how you said that that's what your granddaughter's teacher, felt to give to the students. I mean, I don't know, was it lack of supplies, or did they really think?
It may have been lack of supplies. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but like I remember getting the highlights once a month. My mom had a subscription. And so I did the same thing with my children. My children had every book from The Cat in the Hat on. They had the whole library of it. Back then you could buy, they had these programs where you can just buy the whole set. And so they grew up reading. And I just don't know if there's lack of, caring in the schools, and it may be a combination of both, as well as lack of tools. And so, but even with that, even with that, you have to make a difference at home. You have to pick up where the school system is lacking. And so when I saw that, I just, fast forward, let me make a change with my granddaughter and let me teach her, let me show her. And so she's a huge reader like I am now, because it was, here's some books, let's read together.
Yeah.
And that's the way you have to be, even as a parent. And the one thing that parents have to realize, when you read to your children, that's a bonding system right there. They will never forget that, whether you sit down and take some time during the day, or whether you read to them before you go to bed. I used to read to my kids at bedtime. And that's something that they will never forget, and they will pass that on to their children. And it really does improve their self-esteem. When they can go to school and say, hey, yeah, my mom read me Alpha's Adventure at lunch, and the other kids are saying, well, my mom doesn't do that. They feel good about that. It's a bonding system.
I love it. And you're putting this into perspective for parents as well. I love
Absolutely.
that. And you're right, because obviously you jumped into grandma mode, when that happened with your granddaughter, you're like, oh no, not my child. It's funny because I was looking at Blackish last night. This is their last season, and they were they had the youngest child, Devante, it's like, I don't know where he came from. He just like he disappeared. But anyway, and so, so the episode was revolved around the baby last night, because I think he's like 5 years old on there now or something. And so they were called to the school because the teachers had a concern. And so, but the school that he goes to, he's the only Black there, right? And so, they immediately, get defensive. They're like, they're not going to pick on my child or whatever. They don't even know what the issue is about. Then they get there and then they realize that they had, their little drawings and stuff on the wall. They realized that their child was turning letters backward. I don't know. Did you see this episode last night?
No, I did not.
Okay. So the child's name is Devante, but his D was turned backwards. And I think it was some other letters or whatever in his name. And so they realized, like, oh my God, we don't want them thinking that we don't teach our child, or we don't, but they had to step back and re-examine themselves, or whatever, and not have that pride because he's the only Black and we want him to do, because they went and took one of his projects and redid it themselves and made it look all nice and made it look all nice and pretty or whatever stuff. And they were like, and the teacher was like, really, I know you did this, type thing. But you're just reminding me of that now. We, the parents, of course, are going to have to, take some responsibility. What we used to have the PTAs and all of that.
Yes.
And, parents getting involved and making sure you show up when they do have parent-teacher conferences and everything. An interest, in that, and see what your child is doing. Now, I shouldn't have to tell anybody that, but it's
the way of life now, though.
It is. Unfortunately, it is. Let me see what you guys are saying on here. I see Karen has joined us. That's another educator. I appreciate you. She said she had to buy her own books. Oh, really? Oh, are you meaning for when you teach, you have to buy your own books? Or are you talking about when you were little? Please clarify that for me, Karen.
I believe she's saying for her classes. Yes, I believe some of the schools, the teachers have to buy supplies.
That's interesting. Wow. Okay, I think she said yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see here. And she says she does remember highlights. I thought I was the only one.
No, we just dated ourselves.
Put a metaphor it though, right? Alyssa says they probably didn't have the funds for books, and that is so sad. She says her mom donated most of her books to young teachers. Oh, okay, because she was a teacher. Wow, that's interesting. Hey, Angie, my good friend Angie, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. Let's see. Okay, so she did say she had to buy for her own students. She refused to let her students go without. That's what Karen said. So yeah, you guys were right with that. Such a bonding, says Beatrice, when you're talking about reading to your children. She says, yes, she agrees with that. Let's see. Traditionalists, say that word twice, are competing against what mainstream society is dismantling. As a former library employee, it was always amazing to see families come into the library and brazenly go against today's norms. The library would have reading groups for children of all ages, adults being a part of formal book clubs, and families coming together as a collective unit to ensure that they read together. That's from Angie. What do you think about that? I know it was quite a bit we said. What do you think about that comment?
Oh, that's absolutely true. When I had my daycare, we would do library days where I would take the children to the library, teach them how to use the index cards to find books, and they would have reading circles. Sometimes they would have movies. And so I wanted them to get used to and familiar with going to the library and being comfortable with it. Nowadays, the kids can go on the phone and Google whatever they need to look for. And so back to my granddaughter, I take her to the library with me, and she loves it. She really does, because I wanted her to know how to find things other than with Google. And you can take some of these kids to the library and they're completely lost. They don't know how to find a book in the library. They don't know what to, now they probably can go to the computer and show you some things, but to actually use the resources in the library, they don't know how. And so I wanted to make sure my granddaughter was exposed to that as well. But she's absolutely right. That's a great place. Again, another way to bond with your children and show them different things, something different than Google.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I'm also guilty of hopping on Google, in a minute, I need to find such and such. Let me just type in a little word and it'll just pop up, and it's just convenient. It's, right here at our fingertips. But you're right. Take them to a library. You probably get lost talking about a library catalog or whatever, the Dewey Decimal System or something like that. Like, yes. What's that? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were taken to the library. We were taught, how to go and research and look up to find a book in the library,
Mm-hmm.
And so that does we need to bring that back. We definitely need to bring that back. You mentioned earlier, now I remember earlier I said I had lost my thought, just came back to me. When you mentioned about getting the book in the hands of your children and how it will form them, how it will make them, basically. Mm-hmm. What exactly did you mean by that? And what have you experienced? And I know you talked about your granddaughter, but maybe you can kind of elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, it's the feeling of having a book in your hand. That's a different feeling than having a phone in your hand. And that experience is totally different. Even when it comes to, and as you notice, my books are not on Kindle. I don't have it in a phone version. They're all in the book version because, and it came with my package with my publisher. And I told her, let's just sit that to the side for now. If I decide to come back to it, I will. And it's been 3 years and I have not revisited because my whole premise is for children to hold the book in their hands. Now you see this book here, Alpha's Adventure at Lunch. The books are not standard size. And I knew that going in. So a lot of platforms will not take Alpha's Adventure because it's not the standard size. And I was okay with that because I wanted the books to fit comfortably in little hands. And so my books are smaller than the standard size children's book. I wanted them to be comfortable holding the book and not struggling with this oversized book because now they're going to lose interest. Mm-hmm. So the books are not everywhere because of that. But I'm thinking about the children more so. Them being comfortable, them being able to hold the book comfortably and able to read it on their own without an adult holding the book for them. Now, when you open the book, the other concept that I went with, if you notice, there's on one page, you have the pictures, and then on the other page, you have the words. And that was done purposely as well, because there's 2-year-olds, 1-year-old, 2-year-olds who cannot read words. And so the pictures help them to read, so to speak. And so if they can't read, they can still go in and look at the pictures and know what's happening in the book without knowing the words. So I just wanted to make the books kid-friendly in every way that I could think of.
Ooh, you thought of a lot that most people wouldn't. And that makes sense, because some grown folks will pick up a big book and then maybe lose interest, because of how big it is or something like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you have to understand, our babies, our young people, they have, smaller hands, smaller attention spans.
Right. It's different from ours.
Yes, definitely. I love the mentality that you have going into this. Definitely. Ava says, I enjoyed reading to my children and grandchildren. They are excellent readers, and my eldest granddaughter is 3 grades above her grade level in reading. As a matter of fact, when she was in the 2nd grade, she no longer liked reading picture books and would ask for what she called chapter books. That's cute.
For her.
I love that. Yeah. I love it. Dr. Wily, thanks for joining us. We were just talking about you. Let's see. Ava says, oh my, I do the same thing with my grandchildren, go to the library as a fun activity during the summer.
Yes, it is.
Yes, yes. And you know, it will give you a sense of definitely a sense of responsibility, but it kind of make you, you know, feel like, you know,
Yes.
I'm doing something here. I'm
Doing
doing
something positive.
Yes. And when I would read when I was younger, and then you come across a word maybe you didn't know, and then maybe, you know, it was explained to you what it was, and then I felt good about that. I'm like, wow, I just learned a new word or whatever. Now I can relate. You maybe have heard the word before, but then seeing it is, you know, different as well. But then knowing that you are learning, I think that's what excited me, you know, was to be able to learn. Dr. Wallace says here, love the library and literacy pathways this creates. Yes, definitely. Now, let me see something, because I think Karen sent me, oh my goodness, she sent me a picture of all the books that she has purchased for her 4th grade class. Wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to see if I can put this up on the screen when I get a chance. But that, yeah, kudos. My hat is off to you, Karen, and all you educators who have to do that. That's
love.
Yeah, that's definitely some love. Let's see here. I always enjoy listening and sharing insights with authors, especially after starting the National Distinguished Authors Network. Yeah, you guys need to connect. That's Dr. Wily that said that. Okay, let's see here. So I've asked you a whole lot about writing, whatever. Let's kind of get into the meat of Alpha's adventures, if you wouldn't mind. It's been out for 3 years now, roughly?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So talk to us a little bit about Alpha's adventures. We know how it started, but maybe kind of get into this 5-book series that you've created.
Well, you know what, Alpha's Adventure, as I stated, it's a learning book as well. Entertaining, but it's also learning. What it does, it teaches children how taking a letter out of a word changes the meaning of a word. So we have, for instance, Alpha's Adventure at lunch. So we have our characters here, and just so you know, a few of the characters are some of my grandchildren. So my granddaughter and my grandson are characters, and of course my dog. They're characters in the book. And so Foxy is the letter bandit, and Foxy goes to wherever the children are, and she steals the letter out of a word, and it changes everything in the town of Smartsville. I mean, she takes the letter out of the U out of house and turns it into holes. Now all the families are living on a holes instead of in a house. And it just goes haywire. And guess what? The children downloads Alpha out of an iPad, and Alpha comes out and gets the letter back. So I still meet children where they are with technology, with them downloading Alpha out the iPad and uploading Alpha out the iPad and downloading him back when the letter is back in. So they can connect in that way because technology is here. It's not going anywhere and they use it. So I just wanted to meet them where they are.
That is so smart. Oh my God, go ahead.
I just want children I want the books to be relatable. And I have parents that send me pictures of their 1-year-olds that are going through the books, maybe looking at the pictures, all the way up to 8-year-olds who are saying, you know, they enjoyed the book. So a lot of people ask me, what's the age group? I always tell them anywhere from 1 to 6 or even up to the age of 8, because I've had parents with 8-year-olds to actually purchase the books and the children love them. One of the things that really blew my mind in that, I have to share this, there was a young lady that bought the books and her son and his friend did a puppet show. based on the books. It was just amazing. They had sock puppets, and she videotaped it and sent it to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so wonderful. So think about the imagination. Think about what the books are doing to the children's imagination. I never thought of anything like that, but here it is, 5-6-year-olds who did a whole puppet show off of Alpha's adventure.
Are you serious?
Yes.
And this is what you want. This is what you're getting to.
Exactly what I want.
So did you know these people, or did they?
No.
Were these people that, wow.
I did not. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe I had shipped the books to Alaska.
Wow.
Yes. But
Wow.
she wanted to share that with me because, you know, it was just amazing that the children came up with something like that. And so she sent me a video, and it just awed me. I was just like, yes.
I'm all too. But you know, again, you talked about the imagination. Children do have vivid imaginations. And so then with that in mind, we have to know how to cultivate it. We have to know how to, you know, direct them in the right way so that, you know, those imaginations won't go haywire. So kudos, you know, for your book or whatever, for even inspiring them.
Thank you.
This is great stuff. I'm sure that made you feel real good, huh?
Oh my goodness. That was beyond good. I mean, that was such a blessing to see. It was just really, really, and I'm like, man, I never even thought of that.
Kids are they're they're intelligent. I'm telling you.
They are very creative. You really have to just, their brains are just sponges, you know, and what they see and what you do for them at those young ages, it's the norm to them. So what they see going on in the home is the norm. They think that's the normal thing. So when you read to them, they feel like that's the norm. Yeah. When they're reading books and you're giving them books and buying them books, they feel like that's the norm. And that's what I am really getting back to. That's what I'm pushing for everyone to get back to.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. You know, in part of my promo, I was, you know, trying to say, and because I did a little research, and, you know, there is study that's trying to say that books are becoming obsolete, you know, because of technology and all that we have access to. You know, many people don't necessarily pick up a book as much anymore. And so we appreciate individuals like yourself, like Dr. Wily and other, you know, authors who are really trying to push. And Tennille Jackson, as a matter of fact, too, I throw her name in the hat as well, who are always pushing books, you know. Yes. But again, I love that little twist you did on that, you know, downloading the letter from the iPad and then putting it back into the Word.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So this 5-part series. Okay. My co-host said imaginative and creative. We talked about the situation with the puppets. Alyssa says, I'm 52 and I love them. That's so sweet. That's sweet. Yeah, I get it. And I can see how it can be entertaining. Dr. Wily says, such refreshing thoughts from this author. Yes.
Thank you.
Ava says, my husband and I live far away from one of our grandchildren and wanted him to know our voice. So we bought a book when he was a toddler where we recorded the story so he could practice reading along with us and hear our voice. And they said he loved it. Now that is creative too.
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. I'm scrolling down, guys, to see what other comments you have. Karen says, awesome. I did a survey to find out my students' interests and purchased books based from my students' interests and reading levels. Okay, that was smart. I purchased some cooking and baking books too. Kids were inspired. She says she's loving
That's
this
right,
live.
Karen. Teach them how to cook, girl. We
know
need
that's
that.
Right. I know that's right. It got to be taught. You know, you don't want them to grow up and get married, don't even know how to cook. Has to come from somewhere. I remember home ec, you know, back in the day.
Yes.
You know, You had the sewing or the cooking.
Mhm.
I'm really dating myself. I know.
Yes, we are. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
But reading is definitely fundamental. When you hear somebody say that, though, when you see a poster, reading is fundamental, what's the first thing to come to your mind?
Fun. Reading is fun.
Okay.
That's the first thing comes to my mind.
Really?
And I push that agenda. I in different groups that I'm in, book groups, I always say reading is fun. And it can be. And that's what makes children want to read, when it's fun. And that's why I made Alpha's Adventure, the series, fun books.
Yeah. And I love how you target, if I can use that word lightly, target children, because they are going to become adults. And you want them to, to learn and understand and know, and then to even carry this on with them, as they grow older, as they have their own children and pass it on. So Alpha is the main character, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And so then you did mention about, what's the other name? The
Foxy the letter bandit.
Okay.
Foxy the letter bandit.
I was just like, the one that steals the letters, what's the name?
Steals the letters. Yeah, she's pretty sly. And this is something that most people say is unique in the book as well. I have a page with all the characters in there at the very beginning of the book. Most books don't have that, but I want everyone to know. Have you ever read a book, Annette, and you get midway through the book and you don't know who this person is when you read the name, and you got to go all the way back to the beginning of the book to find out who is this person? Well, I didn't want anyone to have any issues with who is who. So all the characters are at the very beginning of the book.
You sound like you thought of everything. I'm actually curious as to what you missed when the publisher said, "No, you got to go back and do this." What did you miss?
Oh my gosh! Well, she wanted me to be a little bit more vivid with the characters, the children. She wanted me. She wanted me to add more voice to them. So in the beginning, they didn't do a lot of talking in the book. It was mostly Alpha and Foxy. And so she said, go back in and add a little bit more meat to it. Make the children a little bit more interactive, have them saying things so that they'll be a part of the story too.
Okay.
So I had to add some pages and add to, what they were saying. So now I'm feeling like I felt day one when I first started writing the books. And like I said, it took me 2 weeks before I decided, okay, let me go back. Because I was almost like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go back to square one. But it was well worth it. God said, you know what? The children need these books to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see how that can be, because your mind, you're like, I'm done. What do I need?
Right.
What else do I need to add to this?
Absolutely.
But then that's a good publisher for you. And an editor, will be able to look to see, what you have already and what you need, or what you maybe need to take away,
Yes, I was so blessed to have her. And we are still very close. She did come to one of my events. She's in Atlanta. And she flew here from Atlanta to Indiana to one of my events to be there with me to showcase one of I believe the second book that came out. And the books weren't released in a 5 series. They were released at their own time. So they were released one book at a time. I didn't want to put them all out there at once. I wanted that first book. I wanted each book to have their own day in their own time before the next one was released.
Okay. And so did you space them out at like the same time frame for each when they came out? Maybe like a few months?
Yes, they all came out after the first one. The next one would come out 3 months later. And then the next one 3 months later until we got to the 5th book.
Okay. But it was all in the same year.
Well, not really. Well, it was all within a year because I started publishing. They started the first book was released in August, at the end of the year in August. And so the second book was released October, and then the next book 3 months from that. So yes, all within the same year.
Okay.
All within a year, I should say.
Wow. Wow. And I don't think I realized that when I first saw your, that you were an author, that your books, that it was a series. I didn't realize it at first. I just thought it was one book. And then I'm like, oh no, this is a series here. Okay. Yes. This is wonderful. Yeah. And definitely, again, like I said, what is needed.
Well, you know what, as an author, and I know there's a few authors on the listening, I'm sure they know that when you have a book, after time, that book needs to be reinvented. You really have to reinvent yourself. So that was another reason that I published them and released them in that manner, because once the first book, Alpha's Adventure at School, was the first book that was released, and then that second book reinvented it. So here Alpha's Adventure is back out there again in a different way. And so once we got to the fifth book, now I have to figure out what's next, because if you don't reinvent your books, they will sizzle out. And so then came the stuffed animals. So we have the characters in the book. This is Alpha, and we have Foxy somewhere around here, but we also have Destiny, who's also one of the characters. We have Miss Aza, who's the teacher. And then we also have Foxy keychains. So those came out just recently, the keychains, and they have the word on there. And then we also have the coloring books. And you know what? These books have been purchased by adults, because adults say that coloring books are therapy. And so I have a lot of adults that actually purchase the coloring books, but they are just a replica of the books itself. And there's still some other things that's coming out. I'm looking to do a toy, an interactive toy in the near future, as well as some other things that's gonna, again, reinvent the book. But that's just, you have to be inventive and creative in that way when you have a book, because it'll get lost years, 5 or 10 years down the line. You're saying, I wrote a book before and nobody knows. So you have to keep reinventing that book, whether it's, bringing the characters out and putting them in people's hands, or having coloring books, or whatever the case may be. And with the workshop, we talk on that, and we teach on that, on different ways to reinvent your book so that it doesn't die out. Oh,
okay. That makes a lot of sense, because you're right. After a while, they may read your book through and through, and after a while they're done, or maybe gone on to the next thing, and you don't want yours to become obsolete. Alyssa says, I wish you could have done that for Game of Thrones. Alyssa.
They have copyright issues there.
Right, exactly, right. Brandy has joined us. She says she didn't know about the keychains. She also says, is there ever an animated series on the horizon for Alpha and his friends?
That is the ultimate goal, to have Alpha's Adventure on television. And my fiance is so funny. He's like, Alpha's Adventure is going to kick the what's the little red dog's butt. So yes, that is the goal, to actually have it on television. Like I said, I want to reach the masses. I want children to learn from Alpha's Adventure, and I want it to reach the masses. So yes, Brandy, that's the goal.
That's a great question. That is a great question. Thanks for asking that. Buddy Gill, so glad you joined us. Clifford the dog, is that what you were talking about?
Clifford the dog, there you go.
Yeah. And hey, whatever you need to do, this is, again, we're focusing on our young people. You talk about them coloring books. I might have to give me some coloring books. That would be good therapy, though. That would definitely would be, just kind of mindlessly coloring, if you will.
There's a young lady that ordered the coloring books. She had this huge tray of different colored pencils, and she colors with these colored pencils. And I was like, she doesn't have any, well, her daughter is grown. And I'm like, you don't have any kids, you getting the coloring? She was like, it's therapy. I love the color. And there's a lot of people I have ran into that the same. They love to color and they use it as therapy. So, hey, I'm here to help everybody.
And I don't blame you. Hey, we all need it.
Yes.
Maybe some adults need to go back to reading. I already said I'm going. Alyssa says we needed a character key in the beginning of those books TV series. Yeah. Yes. And that's really cool that you did that. Natalie says, I love coloring books. Yeah, Natalie, I might have to order some coloring books myself. Hey, call me a nerd, call me whatever you want to call me, but I think it would be definitely very helpful, especially if you come through a rough and stressful week, working or what have you. Just sit down and I just want to color.
Yes.
Bring back the kid in me.
To take your mind off of every day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Rather do that than, let me stop. Okay. Could be many other things I could be doing, but we don't want to do that. All right. So let me ask you this question, because I've seen this happen to authors before. Mm-hmm. If someone, maybe Tyler Perry's stature, were to reach out to you and ask you to write a book based off of one of his own projects, all right, how would I'm sure you probably jump at the chance, but well, maybe, I don't know, would you jump at the chance? And then would you try to present Alpha Adventures into that?
Well, that's an interesting question, I have to say. Absolutely. I don't think that question you would ask any author. That's what we want to do anyway. Most authors want to get their books on the big screen or connect with someone huge like that. But yes, I would take up the offer. But depending on, I don't think I would try to tie Alpha's Adventure into it, because I think about Tyler Perry and the type of movies that he has. I don't think Alpha's Adventure would tie into it. But I would definitely sit down and write him a comedy. I could definitely do that, and it would be hilarious.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure it would be. But you never know. Maybe he's seen what you've done with Alpha's Adventure. Maybe he'll create a project or something, that you can bring that into. I mean,
yes. If I had the opportunity, I would definitely ask him what he would like, what his vision is, and then at some point, hey, let's talk about Alpha's Adventure. Let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah. So Tyler Perry, I know you're going to watch this show, so you heard what she said. All right.
That's right, Tyler. I'll give you my information in a minute.
Okay. Make sure you have all of it. Okay, so you've already given us an example of how some children were delighted with your books, with the creating of the puppet show. Can you tell us some other situations that individuals have purchased your books, maybe parents or teachers, educators, or whatever, and tell us about some good and positive results from buying the book?
I can honestly say that I'm truly blessed that no one has said they did not like the books or their children did not like the books. I have gotten nothing but positive responses, even from older children, 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds. They love the books. And I'm sure it's because they're easy to read. The pictures, my illustrator is so that. Can I tell you where I found my illustrator?
Yes, please.
Facebook. Yes, ma'am. I found my illustrator. I saw these pictures on Facebook and they were out of this world. And I reached out to her and asked her if she would do the illustrations for Alpha's Adventure. She told me to send her what I wanted the characters to look like. And so I sent her a transcript of the book, of all 5 books. And when she sent those illustrations back to me, I couldn't even imagine. It was so much more than what I had in my mind. I mean, she was so, I mean, she just did an awesome job. She was just so down to every little point, eyebrows, eyelashes, movements, expressions. There was nothing I had to send back to her and say, can you redo this? It was absolute. And I just, like I said, God sent the people that I needed. I did not know these people. Like, he sent these people to me because this is the way he wanted Alpha's Adventure. He wanted these books to look, and the way that, you know, he wanted them presented to children. And it was just amazing, the people that helped me through this. My illustrator was just so, and she was at the time in graduate school for illustration. So this was an opportunity for her as well. Her picture's on the back here, and she's in Texas. And so this was an opportunity for her to have something in her portfolio. And she came out to one of the events that I had to be there, because my illustrator and my publisher, they were the ones that helped make my vision come true. And I'm just so grateful for them. And I love them dearly because of how they helped this book to come out. And I couldn't have done it without them.
I'm so impressed. I really am. And oh my goodness, that illustrate, and she was in school at that time for it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think the school needed her.
I know I needed her.
Right. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, when the Lord tells us to do things, or like you said, maybe he given you that idea initially, maybe started on it, you had to come back to it. You know, we always want to make sure that that's what the Lord is saying. You know, I always say, Lord, okay, Lord, if this is you, you're gonna have to give me ... A to Z, what to do, A to Z, my every movement, everything. And so it seems that's how you were, you know, with this book, and how he just laid people, you know, in your path
Right.
to be able to make sure this was accomplished. And I know he's pleased, Gina. I know the Lord is pleased.
Thank you.
Ava says here, I have a 9-year-old grandson who has a very creative imagination. When he tells me of the events in the family, he's very repressive. Creative about it. Okay. What can I do to encourage him, is our question to you, to write his imaginative stories for a book? I believe he will love it and be good for his self-esteem.
Oh, that is such an easy question, especially when you have children that you see at a young age, they have an interest in something. Support it. Go out and buy him some of those drawing books, the blank books where he can just sit and draw, and let him have his way, and just encourage him. Even if it looks crazy to you, that's his imagination. That's what he sees. Just support it all the way through. It's so important. And it doesn't even have to be writing. It could be whatever it is. Support the child in it. They may lose interest as they get older, but they may not. I'll tell you a story about when I was young. I used to play the piano when I was in high school. And my mom would not buy me a piano because she did not think that I was serious about playing the piano. I begged her, please, let me take piano lessons. I'm the nerd, I tell you again, you know, what high school student wants to play the piano? And so my mom wouldn't buy me a piano. She didn't want to spend that kind of money and I lose interest. So I took pieces of blank paper and I taped them together and I drew the piano keys on them. And I played that for a year on this paper. And when my mom saw how serious I was about it, she went out and bought me a piano. And I played the piano for 3 years.
Are you serious?
Yes.
See,
I sat at the table with that paper piano keyboard and I practiced every single day.
Wow. And that showed her. Now, wait, were you an only child?
No.
Okay.
I'm the middle child.
Yeah.
That says something, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Middle children will take their way. They'll make sure they push through, because it's like they're not the oldest or the youngest, so it's almost like they have to make their way. That's what I said. And you did that. That was so you've always been creative.
Yes, I'm left-handed.
Hey, for the lefties. Lefties in the house.
There you go.
If y'all not left-handed, y'all don't know what we're talking about. Okay. But no, that was very interesting. And then obviously she saw your sincerity, and like you said, and bought you up. So she bought a big piano?
Yes. We had a piano in our living room.
You did good. You did real good. Wow. That's amazing, actually. That's really amazing. Let's see. Apostle Deanne said we did that with my son Benjamin. Okay. And children can be brutally okay. Let's see. Middle children are usually forgotten. Are you a middle child, Apostle? No, I don't think you are. But anyway, she says that explains it. You're a lefty. That's what Ava said. Yeah, but they've always said that lefties were creative, right? That's the left part of
it's true.
Yeah,
it is true.
So we're special, guys. Special in a good way. Don't y'all try to,
That's right. Settle straight.
I gotta settle straight. But Gina, man, I didn't know we had that connection with lefties here. So I get it. I get it. You guys, if you're just not joining us, I'm having a wonderful discussion with my guest on today, Gina Gadson. She is the author of Alpha's Adventures. But not only that, her purpose and her main goal is to make sure that our children, our youth, get back to reading, get book back in their hands. She's concerned, and as well she should be, and you all can kind of look around, maybe in our school systems and our communities. We all should be concerned. We all should put forth the effort. But she has authored these wonderful, wonderful books that are our children can get their hands on. I mean, literally get their hands on it, as well, and be able to mix in the entertainment with the reading. They may not even realize that they're learning when they're reading these books. And so this is what she wants to get across. Books are not becoming obsolete. We should not think that they are. We understand technology because we'll have to use technology to order those books. We get that, but we still want to have the books in our hands to read. And this is what we want to get across, even during this month of National Reading Month, March. We have one more day in March, but this is what we're talking about on today. And I'm so glad that she has decided to join us. There was a quote that was on your website, Gina. You said the reasons behind my desire to write and create is based on the theory that we need to put books back in the hands of our children. There's something special about physically holding a book. And I know you've talked about that already on today, but that, when I went to your website, that's what really grabbed me. I was like, wow, this is amazing that someone is taking time out to address this, to make sure that our children are reading. And, we've already talked earlier today, guys. Sometimes we have to meet the children where they are. And this is what she does in her series of books. Ava says she's online shopping for your books right now. I love it, Ava. Yes, Dr. Wily, you do have a lot in common with this author. I want you guys to make sure you connect.
Yes.
So let's talk about this Authors Guild. I want to make sure we have some time for that on today. Distinguished Authors Guild you are the founder of it?
Yes.
Okay. Come on, talk to us about this.
This is something that is so dear to my heart. And I'm one of the founders, along with Deborah Pettigrew. This was something that we started in 2020, and it's all about the authors. This is to pay homage to authors because I'm an author and I know the difficulty that I faced getting out there, getting my books out there, even getting the help that I needed. Like I said, I didn't have any help with trying to find people to help me with my book, publishers, illustrators. And so we decided we wanted to do something to really pay homage to these authors that are fighting so hard to entertain you, to share their story, to give you information, whatever the type of book that they're writing. We wanted to give them another platform to be able to get those books out there. So we decided to do this award show. It's every November. This year will be November 9th. And we take that time where authors submit their books. There's a $25 registration fee. The fee is used to pay the readers. So we do have readers who read the books, and based on what you read earlier, creativity, no errors, and the ability to captivate the audience. Those are the 3 criteria that the readers look for when they read the books. We have 10 categories. Last year we had 12 because we had so many great books, and some of them did not fit into the 10 categories. So we opened up 2 additional categories, but there's generally 10 categories that the books fit into. And for each category, 1 book is chosen as the award-winning book. And then at the ceremony, they are given an award with their name on it. There's also DAG bags for VIP ticket holders. And it's just a wonderful, awesome day for the authors. So one thing I want to say really quick, I know we're running out of time, but I got to get this out there because you guys are going to be the first to hear this. You guys are going to be the first to know this because some of you that are on my social media page, you saw that I said DAG has a special message coming out, but no one knows what it is. But you guys will be the first to learn. DAG will be live this year. So usually this is a virtual event because of the pandemic. We will be live this year, and we will be hosting it in Las Vegas, Nevada.
What?
So yes. I am super excited.
Oh, congratulations. And wait, let me first say thank you for sharing your hero Get Caught in the Net. And I'm so excited for you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I need to get a ticket, right?
It will be a black tie event.
Okay.
Which is initially what we wanted it to be from the very beginning. Initially, it was going to be at the DuSable Museum in Chicago. Pandemic hit and everything shut down. And so my business partner, she was like, okay, let's just wait until the pandemic is over. And I said, no, we can do this virtually. And so we did it virtually, but this will be the first year that it's live, and it's going to be awesome. We will have entertainment, people that you know in entertainment. It is going to be an awesome gala. So just keep a watch on what's coming. You guys are going to be seeing the promos coming out, all the detailed information coming out really soon.
Oh, I was so excited for you. And you said it's going to be in November?
November 9th.
November 9th. So that's the middle of the week, right?
That's a Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're all throwing up hearts and everything. So let's see. Let me look at your comments, guys. I see you, Tom. Thanks for coming in. Brandy said last year's Distinguished Authors Award program was really nice. Okay, I missed that one. That was the one I missed. I wanted to get on in because I know it's virtual. So they're giving you congratulations and clapping for you. This is so exciting. Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Oh, okay, all right. Let me bring it back down. Look, as if I'm, as if it's my event. Now, how many years has it been since you've had this event?
This will be the third year.
Okay.
And we had authors from all over the country, from Florida, Alabama, Illinois, Indiana, everywhere. So it was great that it was virtual, because a lot of authors who couldn't get out and get here were able to be a part of it. It still may have a virtual part of it. We have not worked out the details yet, but we're trying to see if we'll still be able to maybe have a virtual part. But we're going to make it where authors are going to be able to come out and actually get their awards. And that's the beauty of it. I'm just super excited, Annette.
You should be. You should be. You're doing the work, Gina. You're doing it. You're putting it in. You and your pedigree, your partner as well. Y'all doing the work. I love this. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's see here. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love to see things like this, and I love to see how you take it. And we should be pushing and encouraging one another.
Yes,
guys, we really should, especially when they're doing something positive like this. Or maybe that should be the only reason why we should encourage somebody that ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, I just threw that in there. That was a little commercial. Let's see. Oh, Ava says I'm gonna have to do my broadcast in Nevada.
That's right, Ava.
Right. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, Brandy, help me out. That's a week after your event, right? I think because November 2nd is the red carpet screen event, I believe, and I think yours is the week after. Okay,
and I have my ticket.
Yes. I'm excited.
I know some people missed out on Brandy's movie that's coming out, but baby, I got mine.
Yes, I had mine from the beginning, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. So my November is starting to look up here a little bit. I tell you,
it's going to be an exciting month.
Yes,
I just want all the authors, if you have a book, register the book. I always put the disclaimer out here because we get books that have errors in it. We are not going to award any book with error. That's why we spend the money. We have editors. You have to have a professional book if you want it to be award winning. So I'm just telling you, if it's errors in your book, do not send it. We're not going to nominate it. And you can go on Distinguished Authors Guild Facebook page, and you can see all of the winning authors from the past 2 years, and they have some outstanding books.
I love it. Okay, so is it too far in advance to start looking at getting your tickets? If people are going to travel to Vegas and maybe get your tickets to the award show,
It's not too far in advance, but the tickets have not gone on sale yet. There's a two-part to the award show. We have the authors to register first. The deadline is going to be July 30th. So they have from now until July 30th to register their books. And then we start with the tickets. But as I stated, you're going to start seeing promos and all the information leading up to it. So you'll have plenty of time to get tickets. You'll know who the entertainment is going to be. I'm only giving y'all that little piece now. I'm not giving y'all everything. Y'all just get a little bit. That's it.
Just know that it's going to be in Vegas, okay? And keep your eyes peeled to the social media.
That's right.
And then this is going to be, they always say that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, but you want to advertise this. So
that's right. We want it everywhere.
Yes.
And I got to give kudos to my production company, Dope Living TV. And that's I'm on that podcast as well. So you guys can go see it and it doesn't coincide with Get Caught in the Net. So it's at a different time. You guys can watch Annette and y'all can watch Dope Living TV too. But they have done the production every year and they have done such a phenomenal job. I love them. They are behind me 150%. And I just love what they do with the production. That's not my forte. So I leave it up to him and the crew to do what they do. And and he has done an excellent job. So if you guys want to view the podcast, we're on every day from on StreamYard from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Very interesting. And we had a segment with all the winning authors every year. We have the segment with all the winning authors to come on and talk about their books.
Oh, this is great. So now that's a podcast.
That's this
But you
StreamYard
do a live.
It's live. Yes.
Okay. So what I want you to do when you get a chance, I want you to make sure you put in this comment section where people can find you, your website, about Distinguished Authors Guild, also this podcast, so they will know to make sure that they can connect with you, after this segment is over. If you wouldn't mind, if you wouldn't mind. Let's see. Ava says here, you guys are talking about these tickets. Y'all are hilarious. Ava says, I have a church friend who is an author and has her book out for publishing. What is the website for her to register? Okay, so she's telling you to make sure you keep your eyes peeled. She's going to have that information where authors can be able to submit their work and make sure that there are no errors. Just want to throw that back in there again. Other than that, they're probably gonna just pray for you guys but not accept your book.
Well, just make sure you go to my Facebook page, www.facebook.com Alpha's Adventure Books. You'll see information there. You can also go to DAG Facebook page, Distinguished Authors Guild Facebook.
Okay, so Distinguished Authors Guild. Okay, wait, hold that up, because you have I'm trying to put in the website for your books. Brandy, I don't know if you're on here, if you could put this on here for me. That's alphaadventures.com. Oh, I think you're on mute, Gina. Sorry.
So sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. alphasadventures.com.
alphasadventurebooks.com.
Books.
And that's all one word. ALPHAS adventure, no S on adventure. Alpha's Adventure Books, BOOKS.com. That's the website.
Okay.
I believe you went to that website, Nat.
Yes, honey. Yes, okay, so I wanted to type that in there so you guys will see her website at least, and then when she gets a chance, I'm going to pin that at the bottom, and when she gets a chance, she's going to go in there and make sure that she gives you everywhere else that you can find her. Oh, Alyssa, you're welcome, sweetie. Thanks for joining. She said this was so much fun. She thanks you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is good. So now, okay, we have a few minutes, but let me ask you about you do workshops.
I partner with DA Rhodes, and if you listen to the gospel station 102.3, she is a radio host on that station. This year will be the 10th year of the Authors Brunch, and I partnered with her on the 8th brunch. We had it here in Indiana at the Hilton, right in Maryville, but generally it's in Illinois on Allsip at the Hilton in Allsip. And yes, so there's workshops for individuals who are looking to write a book, or individuals who have written a book and you don't know what direction to go in. Just all the help that I needed as a new author, a new writer, and I had no direction and I had no clue what to do. So this workshop helps you to find those people and know what direction to go in. How do I write a book when I'm working a 9-to-5? You mentioned it earlier, Nat. You just got to find, there's not enough time. And so this teaches you how to make the time, where to find the time. It could be an hour before you go to bed, an hour before you get up to go to work, or on the train. There's different ways that we teach where you can find the time to write a book, and how to turn the book into a business. As you see, all the different paraphernalia that I have with Alpha's Adventure. This book is a business. I registered it as a business. And so you have to look at it as a business. So all of these things are the things that are taught in the workshop.
Love it. And how often is the workshop held?
every year.
Every year.
And that's generally in September. It's usually held in September. So
Okay.
that hasn't been announced yet, but keep your eyes open for that. We had a lot of the authors from Distinguished Authors Guild that actually attended the workshop. So even if you have a book, that doesn't mean you can't learn more. There's so much information that you can learn from writing a book or even from having a business, period.
Yeah.
So this helps in a lot of different ways. And there's always information. Individuals reach out and say all of the information that they've taken away. There's always something that you're going to walk away with.
That's beautiful. And I love how you're paying it forward. You know, you mentioned, you know, a few times today that when you first started, you had no clue what you were doing.
Right.
Some individuals may have received a commission that they need to write a book, but then they're like, okay, where do I start? Where do I go? And I love how you are paying it forward to make sure that people have the resources that you didn't have, or where to go and find what they need. And I think that's key, and that's important. That shows that you're not selfish, that you're selfless and wanting to help someone else. So I applaud you on that as well. Oh goodness, I was going to ask you something else, but that's okay. That's okay.
Ask whatever you like.
Well, let me ask you this. What advice would you give? And I know you have your workshops. We talked about that. What advice would you give to a writer, and or author regarding, you know, writing books? You know, what other advice could you give to them, you know, especially when it seems like it's rough for them, you know, to get started writing, or if after being an author, maybe they have received negative book reviews. So maybe you can kind of talk to us on those two levels, maybe some advice from you.
The biggest advice I would say, especially for a writer, I get so many people who comes to me and say, I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. You start with a blank piece of paper and write your thoughts down. Most people want to write the book out of their head and onto the paper. It doesn't work like that. Write down the thoughts that you have. You could be, you know, in a grocery store and a thought comes, write it down. I use my phone to text. I talk it into my text message and it writes it up for me so that I have it in my notes. But just write those thoughts down and then go back and organize it. It's not going to come out organized in your head. You got to get it on paper to see it so that it makes sense. And then once you get it all together, have someone else to read it, because we read what we know it should sound like. You may miss a word, but you're reading that word in there and the word is not there, because that's how our brains operate. So have someone else to look it over. One thing I would say, never give your material to anyone until you copyright it. And there's a lot of different ways to copyright nowadays. I copyright mine through the state of Indiana, through the copyright organization. But there's different ways now that you can copyright you, as long as you have it in some kind of electronic form. I went the old traditional way. Most authors do, but you can, as long as you can prove it's your work, because I've known people who have had their work stolen from them. So you might want to make sure you do that. And as an author, whether you get bad reviews or not, that doesn't define your book. And I tell every author that registers for Distinguished Authors Guild, if you don't win an award, if you don't win this award, it does not define your book. There's a lot of authors who registered that are doing big things, even though they didn't win the Distinguished Authors Guild. I do want to say there's a lot of authors that did win the award that their book took off because now they have award-winning author behind it. There's one particular author that just stands out to me. He was a first-time author, and he won the award in the young adult category. Once he won that award, he had the school system reach out to him. His books are in the school in his district. And then he also had a fraternity to reach out to him to use his books as a mentorship for young men. So it does carry some clout. I'm not saying that it's gonna, just make you just, take you all the way over the top, but it will, it's all designed to help you have a step up. And I have seen it happen. So I'm just so happy to say that. Keep pushing your book. Don't give up. There are some people out here that need your book. And I say that all the time. Write that book. There may be one person that you can help with that book. Get it out there. Don't sit on it, and see who that one individual is. If it's even one individual, it's something positive. Yeah. We need books. We need the message in the books. We need laughter that comes from books. We need to know that somebody else experienced the same dramatic thing that I experienced. We need them. And so get that book out there, because you don't know how many people you're going to touch.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. You're getting some great advice. You really are.
Thank you.
Great and encouraging advice, because you may sit down to write a book or whatever other project, and you may in your mind, okay, I'm gonna do it this way, and then here come the obstacles. Here comes the non-faith thoughts or whatever. They come in your mind and say, "What you think you're doing?" And so
Yes.
things may happen. So you're encouraging someone on today. Let me see. It's like every time I turn to this Facebook, Ava's talking about ordering your books, but she said she just ordered it. So she said she's so excited for her grandbabies.
Thank you, Ava. Appreciate her.
And I want each of you to do just like Ava did. You can hop on the internet and order books as you're listening to today, because we don't want you to forget it once this segment is over. Make sure you guys go and purchase these wonderful, wonderful reading materials. That's true about all art forms, movies, books, photography, art. Most of my favorites were not faves of critics. Okay, that's Alyssa says that.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, she said, thank you. Ava says, no, thank you. But yeah, this is, and I'm even thinking about, I would love to have your materials in the hands of my young nieces as well. I did tag their parents on here, so hopefully they'll either watch now, and they're probably at work, or watch later. But yeah, we definitely need to get your material in the hands of our students. And they're going to be the better for it. They are going to be the better for it. So authors, writers, parents, children, she's talked to all on today. She really has. And I hope that there was something that was said on today that would help each and every one of you. Again, I have put her website, Instagram. I didn't put her website over here. Let me do that as well, so you guys can make sure to reach out to her. And you're on Instagram too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram at Gina Gadson.
Okay. All right. Gina Gadson. So you Instagram watchers, you can make sure to look her up. I'm quite sure you asked to follow her, that she will follow. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe she will.
I will follow you back, definitely. I am all about the support. That, we have to support each other. It's just a necessity. It really is. We need to support each other. And I do everything I can to support individuals, even with products I don't use. But guess what? I know somebody who can use it.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So you guys make sure you reach out to her. Wonderful, enlightening session. Great show, ladies. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to make sure I also go over to YouTube and make sure that your information is there as well, so that they won't have any problems in reaching out to you and getting what they need from you. Oh goodness, this has been tremendous. I know I had a whole boatload of other questions, guys, but she covered a great deal on today, and I am so glad that we made this connection.
I am
To talk
too.
about you and Alpha Adventures and Distinguished Authors Guild. This is tremendous, and I totally bid you Godspeed and pray that God will just continue to bless you in all your endeavors. And I'm going to make sure that I make that connection this year, trying to get to Vegas. That'll be a nice trip. That'll be a nice trip.
That is a nice trip. Everyone loves Vegas.
Everyone loves Vegas. So you guys, thank you all so much for joining us on today, for listening, for watching. Again, we will upload the video portion of this segment to YouTube toward the end of today. Gina, is there anything else that you want to share with us before we get out of here on today?
I just want to say I had a wonderful time. I feel so much more connected to you. We were already connected, but this just was the icing on the cake. You are such a joy. You make me feel comfortable. I just love it. And I would love to come back at another time whenever you would like for me to come on. Everyone, like I said, if you're looking to write a book, write that book. That book can help others. A lot of authors write about their experiences, and it's therapy for others. So just, go out there and do it. Go out there and do it. Yeah. Join us tonight also on Dope Living TV. Every Wednesday we have spoken word artists. We are also trying to push that platform. It is really growing. We have such a wonderful time. Every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us. You'll have a lot of fun.
Oh, beautiful. Please make sure you put that information, okay, in the chat. I mean, in the comment section, so that they will know, or remember, to look for you. Because I didn't even know about that. You're in the podcast. I didn't know. Yes. But now I know. But make sure you put that in there so everybody can follow you as well. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you all so much as I am setting up my ending here. I appreciate you and look forward for you to join me on the next session of Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with